Hello, welcome back to the Bullyball Podcast. Today we have on a special guest, 2006 Rose Bowl national champ. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 2007 draft. And San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl 47 starting cornerback, Tarell Brown. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Man, thank y'all for having me.
All right, let's jump into it.
Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, check up on my ear. Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, I'm about to cut the...
Alrighty. So I just wanted to read a little bit off of this article real quick. This was from 2013, and it says, fans and media members alike know about defensive end Justin Smith and linebackers Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, and Aldon Smith. Those four aforementioned players are the heart and soul of the San Francisco 49ers defense. However, it takes more than four high-profile names to build a championship defense. It takes an experienced coaching staff and a core group of complementary players. When it comes to the Niners, there's no better complement to the Big Four than 7-year veteran corner Tarell Brown. Brown has never been an all-pro selection, nor has he ever been invited to Hawaii, which I think you're definitely snubbed for sure on that one. Yet all-pro selections and Pro Bowl appearances are hardly the be-all, end-all. Anyone who has watched or has extensive knowledge of the game knows the 5th-round pick out of Texas is one of the best corners no one talks about. So that was from 2013, of course, when the 49ers were making their Super Bowl runs, back-to-back NFC Championship games. So I just wanted to put that out there so people know about you,
Man,
I know us diehards, we definitely know about you. Been big fans of you since you guys had you, Carlos Rogers, Chris Colliver, Jermaine Brock. You guys were definitely one of the most underrated secondaries out there for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So you can jump to the first question.
Excuse me.
Being drafted in the 5th round, what were the expectations for yourself coming into the league?
To be honest with you, to have some type of longevity and make a name for myself. I was drafted in the 5th round, but I also knew that I could play this game at a high level, playing at the University of Texas and playing against high competition in college and exceeding. So, I would say longevity and making a name for myself.
Yes, sir. So being a 5th-round pick, what advice would you give to any young players coming out that are, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, or undrafted?
I would just say more or less, man, just keep fighting. At the end of the day, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And a lot of guys that are drafted really high may not pan out as well. And guys that are drafted lower end up surprising a lot of teams and surprising the league. So I would say just keep working, keep grinding. And when your opportunity does come, try to seize the moment.
Yes, sir.
Coming into the league in 2007, and you didn't completely start until around 2011. How did you stay motivated and not get discouraged after all those years of not starting? What kept you driving and striving for success?
I would say, really, to be honest with you, my teammates helped me out a lot, and my family. I was used to, growing up my entire life, I was always the man, so even going all the way from Pop Warner to college, I was always the guy. So coming into the league, having to watch was very difficult for me from a mental standpoint. But I think once I got around older guys who had played the game long enough, they would continuously tell me, man, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So learn as much as you can. And when you get your opportunity, take advantage of it and don't look back. So that's what I did. I knew those first few years with me being a 5th-round pick that I wouldn't get the first look because there was money in front of me. And we all know that, when you have a bigger contract or a bigger name, you'll get the first shot before someone else does who has, lower drafted or who may not have such a big household name or whatever the case may be.
Yes, sir. So that brings me to another interesting question now for you. I know it might be a hard one to answer. Who would you say the best offensive player, like when you played with the 49ers, who would you say the best offensive player was, and who was the best defensive player you played with?
What year? Because, every year is different. You know what I mean? The team is different. The organization is different. So what year are we talking about? The
I'll
Super Bowl?
say,
Or are
sure,
you
yeah.
saying Harbaugh years? Or are you saying Nolan years? Or are you thinking of, the Singletary years?
Let's say the Harbaugh years. Like, who are the two players, the one on offense and defense, that just like stood out to you the most?
I mean, for sure. I think most of us who played in the locker room understand this, but the heart and soul of that defense with Harbaugh was Justin Smith.
Yep.
And on offense, we only went off how Tank ran, so off of Frank Gore.
Yep,
So
love it.
Frank Gore was always the offensive leader, and Justin Smith was always that defensive presence that always stood out and made an impact on and off the field.
I love it.
Yeah, Justin Smith was one of my favorite players back in the day with you guys, man. I thought he was so underrated, even though he didn't have all the sacks and stuff. He was definitely putting in that work.
Oh man, he's a dog. He's a dog, Justin, man.
All right, so my next question, kind of piggybacking off of that one, playing with a bunch of superstars like yourself, you have Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Alden Smith, Justin Smith, Dashon Goldson, Dante Whitner. I would assume as fans that all you guys want to be that alpha, that big dog of the defense. Like, yeah, I'm the leader, I'm the captain. How did you guys make that work? How did you guys mesh together and not let egos or anything like that get ahead of you guys?
I mean, to get to this level in the NFL, it's the top of the 1%, right? So you have to have somewhat of an ego to get to that point. So to be around all alphas, I think most of us just went out there to do our job. And if it took that leadership role that week, that day, that month, for that guy to step up and say what he needed to say to get his group together, to get the defense together, offense together, it was done. It wasn't done by one guy. It was done by a collective group. Did we have leaders on the field? For sure. You got your Patrick Willises, you got your Dashon Goldsons, like you said, you got your Navarro Bowmans and Justin Smiths and stuff like that. But then you also have guys like Ahmad Brooks who found ways to lead in different ways. Alden Smith found ways to lead in different ways. We had an amazing special team that found ways to lead in different ways. So I just think from a collective group, everybody found a way to do their job and farm their own land, but at the same time come in where it was necessary for guys to lead at that point in time.
Gotcha. Yep.
I love that answer. So, so you had mentioned like Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary, Jim Tomsula was an interim head coach at one point.
Right.
But when Coach Harbaugh came in, was there like a big change to the culture, and like what kind of led to the success of his tenure there when you were on the team?
The culture definitely changed. The mentality changed. The atmosphere changed, and the organization changed. They started putting more amenities into the facilities for the players, making it more of a player-friendly environment for us. Since Harbaugh played the game, he's a player's coach. So he came in very relaxed and was like, man, I'm going to let everybody compete. It's not about money. It's not about status. It's not about Pro Bowls, but it's about the best player who's going to allow us to win the games when it matters. And that's the great thing about Harbaugh and how he changed that attitude over there was he didn't just play the money, he played the talent. So I could appreciate him for that.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
My next question, what player in your whole playing career had the biggest impact on you, do you feel like? I know you kind of took over for Shante Spencer, who was with the Niners for a good amount of years, 9-10 years with the team. Right. But who in general had the biggest impact on you? Who did you try to make your craft out look like, To
be honest with you, I have to give credit to Jonas Jennings, and I have to give credit to Nate Clemens. Those guys showed me how to work. really. I mean, I've always been a worker and I've always grinded, just kind of coming up and having my father be my trainer and all those different things throughout my life. But to show me how to work like a professional on a day-to-day basis, coming in to work early, doing the little things, taking care of your body, studying on and off the field, learning how to approach the game, technique that Nate Clemens would show me, just working your craft every day. So I would say those two guys helped me out a lot. And Jonas Jennings helped me out so much just from a personal standpoint, just for how to be a professional on and off the field, learning how to move, learning how to save your money, learning how to put your money away and stuff like that. So those two guys were very influential for me in my career.
Great. So, as you know, like nowadays with the 49ers, they kind of have the quarterback thing going on with Trey Lance and Jimmy G. And they always talk about like the locker room dynamic. So when you played with the team, you had Alex Smith and then the transition to Kaepernick. Is there really such thing as like it affecting the locker room dynamic?
No. No. Guys, I mean, not to say guys don't care, but at the end of the day, things happen in sports, especially in football. It's a 99% injury rate. So guys are going to get injured. Guys will miss games, and it's next man up. So you try not to focus on, what the upstairs is doing or what the coaching staff is doing. The biggest thing is just to focus on, your craft and what you got to do day in and day out so that you could be the best player you could be and know that they're going to make the best decisions for the team moving forward. So I don't think it divided the locker room. It definitely gave us a little spark because, you have a younger guy kind of coming in and, we're not knowing what to expect. But, it didn't divide us at all.
Nice.
Gotcha. How was it playing against Colin? I know the second stringers usually go up against the first string defense. How was that playing against him in practice and everything? Was there any like wow moments in practice that really opened your eyes to, dang, this kid can play,
Yeah, we knew he could throw the ball and we knew he could play. He was a scout team quarterback against the first team defense. So with him going out there making plays against us at times, we knew that his time would come up eventually. We just didn't know when, And Alex was an amazing quarterback as well, too. He just happened to get hurt, if I recall correctly, at that time. And it gave Colin the opportunity to seize the moment, like I said. And he was prepared and ready. And a lot of times, a lot of guys aren't prepared and ready because they're like, oh, I'm not going to play this week. And they may not prepare like a starter just because they're the backup. But, you one injury away, one tweak away from getting that opportunity. And, man, you want to make the most of it.
Yes, sir. Who would you say was the toughest wide receiver that you had to cover during your whole NFL career? Do you have one?
Toughest receiver I had to cover my entire NFL career. Off top of my head, I don't have one, but who was always on his game, I would say, Julio Jones was always on his game. And I would say, I don't know. Yeah, let me come back to that one.
All right, no problem.
Back to
Alrighty. In your first playoff appearance, versus the Saints, you had 2 pass breakups, an interception, and 4 tackles. How did it feel finally making the playoffs? Because you were with the team for a while before that, and then putting up that type of performance. How did that feel for yourself?
So on your first one, putting up that performance, it felt good. All your hard work during the week paid off. A lot of times, most fans or most spectators, they only see your product on the weekend. They don't see the preparation that goes in behind the scenes during the week. So for me, how I prepare week in and week out when I play ball, it was strenuous and it was to a T. So to get that to have that type of game, man, it was special for me, special for my family. I just wish sometimes I would have got the recognition, like some of the other big name players when they had big games. But when you're, excuse me, surrounded by a lot of superstars and, like you said, a lot of amazing athletes and amazing players, sometimes that can be overlooked, and that happens. And then on the second one, it felt good to get to the playoffs and finally, get over that hump and make it to the playoffs. Because
Yeah.
2 years I was drafted, to be honest with you, we was terrible. And
Yeah.
I wasn't used to losing coming from, University of Texas. I think my whole college career, I've only lost like 6 games. So to come in and lose like that and may only win 4 games a season, it was difficult. So when we got over the hump and made it to the playoffs, I was like, man, we got something special here. Hopefully, we can keep this together for a little while.
Definitely. Did you feel a change in the atmosphere once you guys made the playoffs? How was the Candlestick rocking a little bit more? Was the buzz around the city a little bit stronger or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
You go from bottom of the barrel to the team, you know what I mean? Where people want to come and support and watch you play. Like I said, the first few years, I was coming to the games and like, this it? This is NFL game? Like, where's the rest of the people, And but a few years later, we had Tony Montana, a Future come to the games, and I mean, every game was sold out at Candlestick. I mean, Candlestick was rocking. So it was like night and day. The city felt it, the town felt it, the state felt it, and it's nothing like California is nothing without 49ers kind of on top of football.
Yes, sir.
That's for sure.
Do you have a favorite moment or maybe season in your career that's just more memorable than any of the other ones?
For sure. I would say the Tony Montana moment. I mean, that game was rocking. We was playing the Saints. And that pick I had against Drew Brees, that was it. I was on a high of high.
Yes, sir.
And the team was on a high of high. The energy level was there. The atmosphere was there. The call plays were there. The players were making plays. And, it was 2 teams going out there really competing at the highest level that day.
Yeah, and that game was crazy, too, because I was like the catch 3 with Vernon Davis.
Yeah,
Alex Smith had that crazy touchdown run, too.
And Dante knocked out Pierre.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, at the goal line over there. Yeah, definitely. And that was your first playoff game too, right? Like we said earlier.
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So that definitely was a welcome to the playoffs moment. That game was crazy.
For sure it was.
What was the team's mentality going into those Seahawks games? Because as fans, at least, those games always felt a little bit different. Tensions were always a little bit higher. Stakes were always higher because the Seahawks, of course, were obviously competing for the NFC West and the NFC in general. And was there any difference in those games compared to a regular game against a different team?
Yeah, there was definitely a difference in the atmosphere because we all know, when you go up there to Seattle, their stadium is if not the loudest, one of the loudest stadiums you can play in. The energy level was high because we were division rivals. We were fighting for, like you said, the division each year, right around Harbaugh's time. And then also we pretty much looked at it as whatever team's defense played the best would win the game. And we knew that they had a really good defense, and we knew we had a good defense. So it was really down to, who played the best on defense, trying to get turnovers and trying to get the ball back to our offense.
Definitely.
I love that one. You had another question, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a couple more. Being in the Super Bowl, how was that game just in general? Because like we said, that was another crazy one. The lights go out at halftime. You guys are down big before halftime, and then Jacoby Jones gets that kickoff return. How was that game? The roller coaster of emotions. How was that for you?
At the time, I didn't feel it, to be honest with you. I was in the moment of focusing on, my job or my task at hand. But to watch it afterwards, it definitely was a roller coaster, for the lights to go out and have that game postponed. And then for us to kind of come back and fight back and kind of figure things out and then lose at the end, it was definitely an emotional roller coaster. Yeah.
Gotcha. How did you feel when you got that fumble and the fumble recovery off of that? You know, can you run us through that play, kind of what was going through your head and everything?
I don't remember the exact call, but 9 times out of 10, I usually press, everything. I try to make everything look like man, and I was more comfortable with pressing. So we had a tight split on the backside. I told Dashon to watch out for the over. If the over happened, I would take the back and we would swap. Over happened, and I just ran to the back. He went to make a move. Instead of me breaking down, I just tried to swipe for the ball and make a tackle, and I ended up hitting the ball. And so once I hit the ball, I just tried to grab it and get on top of it before somebody came. So just trying to make plays for our team. The biggest thing for us, like I was saying, is to be a good defense, you got to have turnovers. And we tried to thrive ourselves on turnovers. We worked on it every day at practice. We emphasized it as much as we could off the field and on the field in meetings, and just getting the ball back to our offense. And that was the whole goal. My goal by just kind of being out there was, man, let's get them the ball. If we get them the ball as many times as we can, this gives us an opportunity to win. So for me, it was just trying to make a play for my team.
Gotcha. Was that moment for you kind of surreal, because that's the pinnacle of football. That's the moment that everybody dreams of as kids, little kids, making that big play in the Super Bowl. That's like the ultimate goal for everybody. How did you feel after that? Were you kind of in shock, or was it just like, all right, like you said, let's get the ball moving. We got some work to do.
Yeah, it felt good. But really, like I said, I was in the moment, so I was like, hey, next play, hey, we got the ball back. Excited about getting the turnover, excited about, but I'm not thinking at the time Super Bowl. It's just a normal game to me at that time because we treated the week like a normal week. We tried not to put so much emphasis on we're playing the Super Bowl. We're like, hey, this is an away game. It's like any other game. Let's approach it the same way. So Harbaugh did a great job during the week on just kind of preparing us as business as usual. Nothing really changed. Practice schedule was the same. We just happened to be in New Orleans instead of in San Francisco. So wasn't thinking of it, just made a play. And then after the fact, a few weeks later, I was like, man, wow, that was a big moment. That's something that will be always remembered and put down in history. So it's dope.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir. So you play a 9-year NFL career.
Yeah.
What are you up to now?
I'm in real estate, man. We buy and sell real estate in the Texas, Dallas Metroplex area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Did you study real estate in college or anything like that, or is that just kind of something you ventured into after your football career?
No, I didn't study real estate in college. I got into real estate in 2010 while I was still playing ball, and just dabbled in it just a little bit. I saw how the market was going. When I first got drafted, that's when I first, went to purchase my first home. I had to put down, you have to put your deposit down and your earnest money and all these other different things. And once I kind of saw how that was going, and then I would get little, you get your little bill statements, appraisals, and I would come home for the off season and see that my house made a little bit of money just by just sitting there. It's like, this may be something that I need to get myself involved in. Spoke to a couple people I trusted, and the rest is history.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Seems like probably a little bit of an easier way to get some money than playing football, putting your body on the line all crazy like that.
Very much so. Very much so.
One last question I got. Speaking of your body and recovery, how did you take care of your body throughout the NFL season, to not get too many injuries, stay healthy? What did you do? Did you have any specific routines, anything in the off season you did specifically?
Oh, yeah. The guys will tell you, I don't play about working out. I worked out every day during the season. In the off season, I would work. I would take, a week off, 2 weeks off, and then still consistently train. Chiropractors, massage therapists. I went to the chiropractor twice a week during the season, got massages twice a week during the season, once a week in the off season. So, man, I spent a lot of money on my body just because You want to have longevity, especially at the corner position. If you can't run, you can't play. So it wasn't like they was going to move me to safety and say, oh, okay, 3 years to play. That wasn't going to happen. So I knew that, I had to make sure my wheels was on point. I kept my body in shape. I kept my weight on point. And I know, like I said, Nate Clemens and Jonas Jennings did an amazing job of just kind of showing me the ropes. I took a lot of notes. I would talk to them in the off season. I would talk to them during the season, just find little remedies. And then I found my way, hired a trainer, hired a track coach, hired, chiropractors and stuff. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Later on in your career, you became one of the vets. What was your leadership style? Were you real vocal, or were you kind of laid back? How did you take on that role?
Very laid back, man. I'm not a vocal leader, to be honest with you. My leadership, I can be vocal, but my leadership comes from, how I prepare, how I practice, and more or less I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's kind of growing up, with my father. He was more or less, man, don't run your mouth so much, show and prove, prove your worth. So I would just go out there and work, how I practice, how I trained before practice, how I stretched, how I recovered, just the little nuances that I would bring to the game. Younger guys would gravitate towards that and ask questions. And I was open to trying my best to help them and put them in positions that would get them some money. Guys like a T. Brock, guys like a Chris Culliver. Those was my little homies where it was like, man, we would do extra stuff together to push each other, on and off the field. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other questions, Joe?
Yeah, I'll circle back one last time. Did you have time to figure out the toughest receiver matchup that you had played against in your career?
My toughest receiver matchup, I would say, was Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
Percy Harvin.
Yeah. Percy Harvin was a hell of a player. My first few years in the league, I was a lot younger, so I understood the craft, but I don't think I underestimated him a little bit. Sometimes you can go in the game like, oh, he's not that fast. Or he's not that strong. And he's running away from this guy. Man, this guy's slow. And it's like, oh, or this guy can play. So, I would say Percy Harvin. Then the other guy he didn't surprise me, but, man, Randy Moss. I went playing with him in San Francisco, changed my whole perspective on just being an amazing athlete, like just seeing him get to work early. I'm there at 5:30 every morning. So I'm not used to seeing guys beat me to work when work don't start till 8:30. And he was one of the only guys, that would beat me there. So seeing that, seeing him swim for an hour before going to lift weights and maintenance in his body and stuff like that, that helped me kind of, put things in perspective and say, man, this is why this man is a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Same with Charles.
Sir.
Yeah, same with Charles Woodson. So I would say Percy, Calvin Johnson. Don't forget Calvin. Julio Jones. And then the other one was, I would say, Randy Moss.
Speaking of Calvin Johnson, when you guys played the Lions, what was your guys' defensive scheme with that? Because you see clips on Instagram of triple coverage of Calvin in the end zone. It's crazy.
Double them.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That dude was a monster.
How many times
crazy
guys 6'5", 235, 240 running 4.3s? Man, come on, man. That's double them.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny. Do you have anything else you want to say to the fans or anything, Tarell, before we get out of here?
Having me, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the support. I'm always a Niner faithful for life. Wish I could have ended my career there, but hey, stuff happens, and I wish some guys nothing but the best, and the organization nothing but the best, and continue the amazing work you guys are doing with your podcast, and keep it rolling, fellas.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time to be on with us.
Appreciate
Definitely.
you having me
All
for
right.
real.
Thanks
Yes,
again.
sir. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Man, y'all too. Have a good one.
Send it back.